and he's like old now. It's like Interstellar when they go down to the planet and come back, and the guy's really old.
Oh, so it's stupid?
No, that's a logical thing in that movie. Time moves different down there than it does up here because of gravity. That's basic space. Anyway, you know who never made a space movie?
Your mom?
The Coen Brothers. Wait, did they? I'll have to check my list here. No, they did never make a space movie. They made 17 westerns instead.
Well, hi, kids.
We've been in this bunker for how long now? It seems like forever. Just watching movies.
War never changes.
Maybe one day they'll let us out. So what have you been doing so far in quarantine, Garrett?
Working.
Working? But aren't you closed down? Surely you're not essential.
Wow. I see how it is.
Holding the fabric of the universe together? Because I'm pretty sure that's Francis McDormand's job.
Zing.
That wasn't a zing. That was like... Anyway, I don't know where to go from this. What I've been doing is watching movies because I'm not a psychopath like you.
I'm a psychopath because I have to work.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I've been watching more movies than you have.
That's demonstratively false.
I've been watching like twice the amount of movies
you have. But you only watch garbage movies, and I watch good movies.
Yeah, like Mosquito.
Yeah, like Assassin's Creed, which is what we're talking about on today's episode of the Digital Drive-In Podcast.
So what would have made Michael Fassbender better if he didn't have pants on?
I would have went with like a better script or a better director or something, but sure. Yeah, we could. I mean, like the horse dick could come out and it maybe would have made it good. The movie did have he had two hidden blades throughout that movie. He actually had 3, but we just never saw the third one. It was always just in his pants the whole time.
Wow, that was a long setup for a joke we already did.
No, and my joke was better than your joke. Roll on snare. Oh, God. What I have been doing, I did, I guess. I ended it like 5 weeks ago. What the fuck have we been doing? But I watched all of the Coen Brothers movies, Garrett. Well, all the ones I hadn't seen already, and I skipped the ones that I had seen. Except for a couple that I wanted to watch again. So anyway, I really had no rules when I did this. I just kind of went for it. And, yeah, I guess we're going to talk about them, aren't we?
If you say so.
Nope, we're actually not. This is the end of the podcast already.
I mean, everyone's clicked off of it because in the first 15 minutes, you've just been talking about jack shit.
No, we've been talking about Michael Fassbender's dick, but, that's not jack shit to me. That's a fucking dick. Anyway.
We didn't come to Vegas to talk about Michael Fassbender's dick ring.
Vegas?
I guess you don't remember the... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Are you a fan of the Coen Brothers?
Sure.
No, you're not.
Oh.
That's what I was expecting. No. And then all of a sudden you just sidewinded me on this podcast. And...
I think they're terrible.
Wow.
And
not.
The movies they make are not good. They're the opposite of good. I would call them bad.
Hail Caesar was the most disappointing movie I've seen since Burn After Reading.
It's almost like you're doing your Gordon Cole, but in a Plinkett voice.
Oh, God. I guess I have to sound drunker.
Take another look, Sonny.
I have to sound a little drunker for Plinkett, or what? The words have to be slurred together a little more? Garrett showing up in this podcast was the most disappointing thing since Garrett showed up in the last podcast.
Yeah. Got him.
How the fuck are we supposed to do this one? This is weird. What's your favorite? What was the first movie you saw? I literally have a list of how to do this. I wrote it right there.
I was looking at it. I was waiting for you to get to it.
What was the first Coen Brothers movie you saw? Were you a fan of them when you were way back in dinosaur times, back in old 1987 or whatever it was? Blood Simple came out.
I did not see Blood Simple when it came out, but I did see Raising Arizona when it was on VHS.
Well, that's not in theaters though, so you don't really have dedication, I guess.
Well, I couldn't drive myself when I was 8 years old.
8? Well, no, you were more like 89, but...
The first The first Coen Brothers movie I saw at the theater was probably The Hudsucker Proxy.
Yeah. And you came out of it and you went, okay, and then never thought of it again.
No, I actually really liked it and I bought it.
Oh, okay. Guess I'm the only one that I forgot it was a thing until I looked at the list of the movies while I was writing them all down.
You forgot what was the thing.
Who cares? I forgot about that too now. So Raising Arizona was the first one you saw, period, though?
Yeah.
Interesting. And what did you think about that one?
I mean, I thought it was funny. I liked Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the actors in it.
Yeah.
And they were known for their kind of weird sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because a lot of the weirder sense of humor movies around that time were more like for specific areas. Like you kind of had like the Woody Allen, like the Jewish East Coast New York sense of humor.
Sure.
You know, talk real fast, and it had stuff with the buildings, or like you had the stuff like in California that had that same type of stuff. But it was sort of like Arizona was more of like a Midwest kind of jokey thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the late 80s that came out, which is kind of around the same time that, like, you know, your Mystery Science Theater and stuff start up, and people becoming more self-aware of like making fun of movies.
Sure.
And while like Abrams and Zucker already did like their parody movies, and like This is Spinal Tap was in the 80s as well, so it's like you already had that kind of stuff starting. But sort of we realize we're a bit off, but we embrace it rather than shy away from it. And here's a movie that is completely within our sensibilities to make, with weird actors playing weird characters.
Yeah.
And I like that kind of a thing.
I think I would have liked that movie a little bit more if I hadn't seen Wild at Heart already. Because Wild at Heart
Lynch
came out after.
Destroys a lot of that wacky quirkiness.
But yeah. I do find it's like, obviously the stories are a little bit different, and I think that True Romance is a similar idea as well, with the wacky road trip essentially. Mm-hmm. Between two lovers, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think Wild at Heart, after I had seen that one, and specifically with stuff like Willem Dafoe's character in that, and Nicolas Cage again, you know, kind of blew that out of the water for me. So while I was watching Raising Arizona, I was kind of always had those other stuff in the back of my mind. So it didn't fall, like I didn't hate it, but it kind of fell a little flat for me, I guess. But I could see if it was the first Coens I saw, though, or if I hadn't seen the other movies that I'd mentioned, I'd probably love the hell out of it, though, because it is them, and it's a good introduction to what I think they are inherently, even though they maybe touch on different genres or tones. They still always have that kind of wackiness that Raising Arizona brought out.
And I kind of feel like with that being more of my introduction to them, that like anytime they do a crime story, it seems to fit their storytelling devices better than like other genres for me.
Yeah.
But it might just be because that was my first.
It could be. I mean, they've always had, you know, those touches of crime. Most of their movies are crime movies, to be honest.
Right.
Thinking about it, like Barton Fink is probably the only one, and Inside Llewyn Davis, that doesn't really have a crime in it. Other than, like, Lady Killers. Is that a crime? Sounds like it. I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, it is. But
or that there's that romantic comedy they did. Didn't watch that one either. Yeah. Does that have a crime in it?
It has like lawyers and shit. It's like a divorce lawyer or two divorce lawyers. I don't really remember much from that. I did not really like that movie.
But for the most part, I think they've had their crime sensibilities throughout. I think maybe watching, like I had seen Fargo as my first one, which is a little bit darker, but then I had also seen a few of their other ones before going back. I think maybe I was looking for something a little darker to Raising Arizona, when it's more of like the wacky, that's it. Because then they always have like, a lot of their movies are still wacky comedies, but they have the darkness to kind of counterbalance it, and I think that's where they're at their best. But for me, when I watched it, at least Raising Arizona was like wacky without a counterweight, almost, you know?
Right.
I already answered it, what you were going to ask me. And that Fargo was the first one I saw. Did you see that one in the theaters?
I did, and I was not really that impressed by it. I like everyone was really talking it up, and
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of the thing that you mentioned earlier. Like, just when I was hearing about how violent and dark that it was, I was thinking, oh, they went full Lynchian. And then
Right.
seeing it, it's like, oh, this is nothing at all like Lynch.
Sure.
And I
I
didn't
mean, that's
necessarily
your
like the
fault.
characters. I know it is my fault. It definitely is. And like I need to revisit it again
Sure.
because I did revisit it. I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, something like that. And the original Blu-ray that came out with it was like fucking horrible.
Right.
Like the encode and the transfer and everything was just dog shit. And it's like I was unimpressed again.
Yeah.
But I
It hasn't
haven't.
been treated very kindly.
Yeah, so I know there's the new version out that's supposed to have restored everything. It's supposed to look nice. I should revisit it.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that a lot of the themes and stuff too, especially because I did revisit that one during my little binge. I think a lot of the ideas and themes were more refined, I guess, in the TV series, especially like the first and the second season.
gotcha.
Touch on a lot of the same tones, elements, and themes that the movie does. But I think with a stronger storytelling, just by a touch, I guess, which is odd because that's only like produced by the Coen Brothers. It's not written by them either or directed by them. But I think if you're gonna go Fargo, watching the show, like the movie is essential to the show, I think, but watching the show is a little bit better. I like the show a little bit more, which is weird again because they're not like the showrunners on it. What was the first one of theirs that you saw that you actually loved though?
That I loved.
Yeah, because if you liked Hudsucker a lot, you said, right?
I liked Hudsucker. I liked Miller's Crossing, but I didn't see that until later on
Yeah,
video. The first one that I like saw as it was released that I was like, wow, was The Man Who Wasn't There.
right. Which I would call honestly one of their most underrated movies.
Oh, definitely.
It's that
Because
and
it's
A
very
Serious
niche.
Man are probably their most underrated movies, and both of which I would put at the higher tier of their catalog as well. Man Who Wasn't There is fucking awesome.
It seems like the movies that the population goes crazy over, The Big Lebowski, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, I was just like, too.
Yeah,
But then the ones that I was like, No Country for Old Men is probably like one of the greatest movies of modern cinema.
yeah, I would
Like
say
you don't
it's
necessarily hear a lot of.
honestly like best of the century. It's up there. That and like to get that and There Will Be Blood in the same year is crazy because I would put both of them in that conversation. Mulholland
Right.
Drive is the winner, but like they're all up there.
Sure.
Yeah. But how great is that movie though? The Man Who Wasn't There.
Yeah, I mean, again, the look of, even if you take away everything, that the fantastic acting in it and the tight script that makes
Yeah.
you think of classic Hollywood, just the visuals. You could almost take any second in that film and have it just as a frame, and you could like teach a class on how to shoot a film based on that frame.
Yeah, it's pure
It's
magic.
pure cinema.
Yeah, in black and white photography as well too. It's one of my favorite films by Roger Deakins, who is my favorite cinematographer. I would say it's probably my favorite that he did. That's not Blade Runner. It's those two, like probably tied because it's like remember when the Academy used to give best like cinematography to one color film and one black and white film.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically how I feel about that and Blade Runner for him, side by side as brothers. I feel like that movie, The Man Who Wasn't There, you could honestly just put music on top of, and you would get a lot of the same story just through the visuals and through like watching his face. Like Billy Bob Thornton does a really good job internalizing everything. Yeah. And you can really see it in his eyes and in his face what he's thinking of, even without the voiceover, I guess.
Well, because of the classic noir, it's all about mood and atmosphere.
Yeah.
and they understand that, and so it's like
Yeah.
they made a movie that would work just off.
And the darks in that movie are dark, and it's amazing.
Inky
Like it
black.
uses it's literally, it feels like you said old Hollywood. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, as people would like talk up and down about Sin City and how it looked, and I'm like, well, have you seen the man who wasn't there?
Yeah.
But anyway,
And that would be, I would consider that one as probably in my top 3 Coen movies.
so what would be your 3 then?
That one, No Country for Old Men, and Inside Llewyn Davis. I don't know the order, but those would be my 3.
Sure.
I think they're 3 completely different tones as well, too.
Oh, 100%.
And none of them I associate the Coen tone as, which is kind of crazy. If I think Coen Brothers, I do think like Fargo, Raising Arizona, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, like that tone. Buster Scruggs, I guess, even though it's kind of a scattershot with all the different stories. But like, you know what I mean? That dark kind of wacky still. And then I think all 3 of my favorites are all absolutely not that style at all. So I think I like when they do departures from their tone the most.
Yeah, when they're mature as filmmakers, I think is when they make their best stuff.
Yeah, which is kind of cool because then they could do a run of movies that are like fun and whatever, and they're having a good time making them, and then they pump out like an all timer, and then not that I think most of them are honestly like close to all timers. Like they're pretty great overall, but like, what do you think of on the topic of underrated with The Man Who Wasn't There? I guess I should ask you, what are your top 3 then? Top 3.
I would say The Man Who Wasn't There, No Country, and Miller's Crossing might be my 3 favorite of theirs.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you made me reconsider Llewyn Davis.
Llewyn. God damn. We had this, the entire cast we did on it, too.
I like saying it, though, because that's what John Goodman says in the car.
That movie's just so, we talked about it in length on our podcast, it's just so draining, and what's the right word for it? What did we say back then? Like, powerful, I guess. I don't know what else to say. Moving.
It is, yeah.
I guess. But it also introduced me to folk, which became one of my favorite music genres. So that might be bonus points for me. So,
but it's sort of weird for me. It's like after No Country, it almost like No Country ruined me for any of the rest of the movies they do.
Yeah.
Because I expect that from them.
Yeah.
And they keep letting me down.
I mean, that's why I say that movie almost transcends them.
Yeah.
Not only is it a completely different tone than what they usually do, it's a complete departure from everything that they are effectively, right? Yet it still hits a lot of their tones. Like there is a lot of humor in that movie that is very dark but very funny.
Right.
And,
it's obviously very well done.
Yeah.
I don't care really for folk music whatsoever, so that might be.
I was talking about Llewyn Davis. I mean, I was talking about No Country with the departures and all that. That's why it's like an upper tier for me, because it's like that's why I think it surpasses them. I mean,
well, I mean, for one thing, McCarthy's story is so solid.
Yeah.
And
it's a good baseline to build from.
Right, and so I think a lot of it depends on like where they're taking it from, because it's like the original Lady Killers. I want to say had like Peter Sellers and Herbert Lom, so it was like these fantastic actors. Just, and I think Alec Guinness was in it too.
Jeez.
It was just like it was an actor's movie, and it had very little to do like the script and who was directing it. It didn't matter. Right. But in the new Lady Killers, it's like, oh, it's Tom Hanks with fake teeth. It's like, so I feel like No Country kind of had it where it was a perfect storm of everything. It's like the casting was perfect, the story was perfect, the way what they did show and what they didn't show was perfect. It was just like it was a combination of everything.
It treats the audience with a lot of respect. It expects them to kind of put 2 and 2 together. I think of the Leaving the Window closed, and when he drives past it, it's open a little bit.
Right.
So he just says like, keep going kind of thing, because
Mhm.
he knows somebody's been inside his hotel room.
And it's like the very last battle where the main character, you know,
Dies off screen to
yeah.
spoilers, but in a completely
I wasn't
unrelated
gonna spoil it,
incident.
but go ahead.
Well, no one's
Um,
watching.
but it was like that. This the perfect way of building something up and not allowing that tension to be released. It's
Which I
just like
think follows then Tommy Lee Jones throughout the remainder of the movie,
right,
solidifying what his change at the end and realizing that, this world is cruel and terrible and closure like that doesn't happen, so it's not worth being a part of that world anymore.
right.
It's an incredible motion picture, and you're making me want to watch it
I know. I want to
again.
watch it after I watch it.
Right? Isn't it crazy that we got that and There Will Be Blood? And there's one other movie that year too. I'm trying to remember. I'm thinking cinematography wise. So it's The Assassination of Jesse James, which I haven't seen, but the cinematography. Crazy, isn't it?
I mean, Zodiac came out that year, and so did Hot Fuzz.
2007. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. On the subject of no closure and also underrated movies, you have not seen A Serious Man, huh?
I have not.
A lot of people hate that movie.
Burn
You
After
might like
Reading
it.
really burnt me on their movies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, A Serious Man is the complete opposite of that, but yeah.
And the Lady Killers kind of did too. I actually didn't watch No Country for Old Men for a while.
Yeah. I would have killed to have seen that in the theaters. No Country.
Yeah.
I feel like watching that on like an opening weekend in theaters and being with people, it would have been electrifying. Or people would have hated it, one or the other. Can't remember. I guess what Midsummer for me, I guess, was the last time I had that in theaters. Where when I finished it, I was like, that was fucking like one of the best things I've ever seen in my entire life. It's just so rare you see that, something that like strikes you so hard in theaters.
Uh-huh.
But to go from Burn After Reading to A Serious Man is kind of interesting, because Burn After Reading is more like Raising Arizona and Lady Killers, where it's just wackiness, but then every character is also stupid.
And I don't like that.
Yeah, it's meant to be a hardcore comedy. Sometimes it doesn't always work. I didn't really laugh during most of it. It has one of the best surprise headshots I think I've ever seen. That made me laugh my ass off. Yeah, that made me laugh my ass off. It was really gory and really funny, but it didn't the movie was relatively unmemorable other than that. But A Serious Man was honestly the movie I was looking forward to the least in doing the entire thing, because I had never heard of it, which I thought was a crux for it. I thought no one's talking about this, so it must be bad. But it was no one's talking about this because either nobody's fucking watched it or everybody hated it, because it's another one of those doesn't care about the audience, but doesn't care about the audience. I don't know if you know what I mean. It's like No Country, where it's you don't get everything you want. I'm trying not to spoil it in case you do watch it, but
right.
The themes that it talks about throughout the movie ends up doing itself, which is pretty interesting. And that one really surprised me, honestly. It was one of my favorites of theirs. It's up there. It's the best one that I didn't give a 5 on Letterboxd to, I thought. So, what do you think of True Grit?
I really liked the way it started. I did actually see that one in the theater.
Yeah. Honestly, that might have been the first one I ever watched from theirs.
I feel like it just never really came together, and it didn't overcome it being a remake.
Sure.
I kind of felt in the movie they felt like they were stuck. We have to go this place and do this. And then
no, I haven't seen the original.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean it's fine. The original's fine. The original's not great or anything.
I've heard most people call the Coens is better.
It's definitely filmed better.
But yeah, Deacons, that movie's gorgeous.
But it's sort of I don't know if maybe the casting was off, or if I just wasn't feeling what they were doing with it, there were just some things I just didn't necessarily care for. And
Sure.
it's one of those where I probably need to revisit it
I mean,
as
I didn't
well.
like it till I revisited it. So,
I mean, I
which
do
wasn't now,
like it.
but
I just don't love it.
yeah, that's fair. That's how you probably feel with most of their stuff,
But
and with everything that I pick.
I think like I grew irritated with Jeff Bridges. Like you can't hardly understand what he's saying.
Sure,
I don't know.
that's fair.
It
You're
was I
allowed
don't know.
to.
It's just like No Country for Old Men is a modern western. For them to like go back and do a
Yeah,
classic western and it still not be as good, and you're like, well,
and that's why the other western they did, they took a different direction with it.
and I didn't really love that one either because it's like there were certain parts that I liked, but it just didn't come together.
Yeah, I mean that's the nature of anthologies, I think. But you know, Buster Scruggs is like the first 30 minutes is like fantastic, and I don't think anything ever matches that throughout the movie. But
Well, and they started off with the ridiculous one,
yeah,
and I thought he was going to be in the rest of the film.
he should have been as like a narrator,
Yeah,
as like the angel or whatever.
yes, that would have made way more sense as to why you would have it that way. But with it literally being separated stories that are just like in a book, it's like, well, that's not that interesting.
It does have the best short film of that year, though. Just take
Which
out that
one?
Tom Waits one
Oh,
and just
yeah,
watch that alone.
Mr. Pocket.
I'll get you, Mr. Pocket.
I think that's the problem is some of the shorts were so good and so well done and the lead character was so great that the ones that didn't have that and were lesser were more it made them seem worse because there were the great ones interspersed.
Yeah, that Liam Neeson one is not great.
Well, you get the point right away, but it keeps dragging on for another 10 minutes.
10, that was like 35 or 40 minutes long. It felt
Well, I'm
like,
just
but
saying, like, the introduction and stuff is like you understand, you start to understand where it's going, but then it doesn't do anything new or interesting with where it's going. It just like replicates that same storyline three more
see, because okay, spoilers. Like, you know, he throws him off the bridge or whatever.
times.
They should have had him bite the guy, like the body with no arms or legs, bite the guy. The guy flips out, drops the body. He falls over the thing, and then the body is just standing there and can't move because it was like he needed the other guy, even though the other guy was a dick. So instead of the body just being thrown into the river, it should have been the guy. You know?
Yeah, I don't think that would have helped.
I mean, still, yeah, I guess not, but. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Move on from that one, I guess.
Well, it's more the fact that like, okay, you feel bad for the guy, so what? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like what is it saying? Like this guy is performing for people and certain people are paying but they're not making as much. It's like, yeah, life's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Is the end? Oh, that was the point? Okay. It's like there I don't know, I felt like there should have been more, especially with that one being longer.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like there should have been a reason why this one, which wasn't interesting and didn't have anything to say, was longer than the ones that were interesting and did have something to say and did have characters that you liked. If
Yeah.
the point is life is hard and sometimes there are people that you don't like, but that does that mean they're worthy of death? Okay, well I get that because I'm not 14.
I liked the one where the girl like shot herself in the head or whatever. That was pretty good.
Yeah, but again, that one was too long to set up.
Yeah.
And it felt soap opera-y. It felt made for TV movie. It didn't feel like a cinematic film.
I think that's most of them, other than the Buster Scruggs one, are too long for not a big payoff. Because then there's the James Franco bit too, which is really long just to get to that punchline.
Yeah, that's the thing is a lot of them felt one note.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we watched this for 20 minutes for that. That's kind of the thing. It's like watching a comedy that hardly has any funny parts, and then like watching a Three Stooges short, which was like 25 minutes long, and they put like 15 times the jokes in one of those in a full feature length film.
Yeah.
that's when you start questioning, like, why is it that Looney Tunes can be wacky and have all this stuff happen in 6 minutes, and an hour and 30 minutes you don't have near as the amount of same stuff happen?
Yeah,
So it's
that's fair.
almost like if you don't have enough story to have it for an hour and 45 minutes or whatever, then make a 85-minute movie. Cut some stuff out, do some editing, like only put the stuff in that's either necessary or like does something. And
Hmm.
I don't know, because their movies swing so wildly between being like some of the best modern movies that are available to I don't even think I want to watch that again. Like those are wild swings in between kind of the content, and it's not
Sure.
because they're not professional. You know, I mean, everyone can't be on every time either, and every story isn't the greatest story in the world.
Yeah.
They might not want to wait 8 to 10 years between every movie either. Well, I can
Yeah.
understand they want to make this a business,
Yeah.
but
And I mean, if they crank out a No Country every once in a while, it's worth it.
that's fair.
You go through the shit, and then all of a sudden, here's a big one. Then it kind of surprises you, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I like how they have like sort of mythological, I guess, elements to some of their movies. I'm thinking mostly of like Barton Fink, which kind of like comes out of nowhere with like. Do you remember that one very well? With John Goodman is almost like the devil, almost or something. Like,
Yeah, and you have like the walls and stuff that are like there's something underneath.
yeah. Well, when he shows up at the hotel at the end of Barton Fink, where Barton is staying, and he's like running through the hallway, and like the hallway's catching on fire behind him.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. Then I'm trying to remember actually, because I don't think is John Goodman in Hudsucker.
If he is, it's only a bit part because that's Paul Newman and
Or am
Tim
I thinking?
Robbins.
Maybe I'm thinking of Oh Brother, where he plays like Polyphemus or whatever. But because he shows up in another one, and he acts very similar, and he has the same first name, and I was like, holy fuck, it's connected or whatever. But I think that was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, when he shows up in that. He's like the one-eyed, like the Cyclops or whatever.
Yeah, that's Oh Brother.
Yeah, and I think he has the
So
same name as he does in Barton Fink. And
so
it's kind of like the
Goodman
same
is
thing.
in the Hudsucker Proxy, but he's just like a newsreel announcer.
Oh yeah, he
So
has
it's like a
like
very, very small
he's not
part.
on screen.
Right.
He does
It's
a
just
voiceover. I do remember that because I went, oh my god, that's John Goodman. I think his best performance in all of their stuff is Big Lebowski, though.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
I
an
mean,
all-timer performance. That's like one of my favorite John Goodman performances. Period.
and I mean because he's a main character.
Yeah, but just his whole demeanor of like screaming the whole time and just being an asshole, whipping out the gun, throwing the bowling ball, shut the fuck up, Donnie, all
Right.
that kind of stuff. It's just so good. Man, get it?
No, I got it.
Did you get it? Garrett, did you get it?
No, you completely passed me over.
Did you get it, Garrett? Did you get it?
I'm gonna stuff you in a coffee can and then throw you off the side of the mountain.
I gotta watch Big Lebowski again, I think. I know you didn't like that one too much, but
I just thought
after
it was
watching
way
Inherent
too hyped.
Vice, I think, yeah. Well, maybe you should revisit it. We should revisit it together, and then, well, not together, but like at the same time, just not watching it together, and
Sure.
like just think of it as like mellow, just ride the wave, dog.
Yeah, well, if I have to light up for a movie, it's not necessarily a movie that's
Not
that
saying
good.
light up. I'm just saying don't, you know, let the hype get to you. Just like, calm down, bro.
Have a White Russian.
Have a White Russian. It's one of those kind of movies. Just sit back with the boys,
I know, but
kick
that's the
your
thing
feet
is,
up.
it wasn't like people don't talk about it as this is just a chill movie because it's really not. There's like a lot of stuff that happens in the movie.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
I know. How did I know you're going to do that one? Are you going to lick the bowling ball too, Jesus?
No,
Anyway,
no, that's hilarious though. I forgot that he made a sequel. Just him.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm never gonna touch that.
It's like people were like saying that it was like hilarious and like they were laughing at it, and I did not think it was like funny.
No, I don't think I don't think it was that funny either. I thought it was fun, but I don't think like I never laughed out loud.
So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you're right. I do need to revisit it. Apparently, it's one of those where the Blu-ray is like crappy, and the 4K version is actually the better version to see.
Right.
Um, and it's super cheap, but I just I own one of the versions of the Blu-ray.
The good shit in that movie to me is like when they're scattering Donnie's ashes and the wind blows and then the camera just like pans over and Jeff Bridges is just covered in the fucking ash.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the funny shit in that. I can't really remember any of the lines, but I remember that stuff. I remember John Goodman whipping the bowling balls out the window. Or it's like the bag of money, but I think it was the bowling balls by accident or something.
You and your bowling balls.
He just wants his rug replaced, man. He just wants to get reimbursed for his rug, man.
Well, it tied the room together.
It really did tie the room together. It's a nice rug. It's also nice to see actors continue through their films as well, too, I think. Because I'm trying to think of who plays the Big Lebowski in that. Bear with me. I'm seeing I was leading in a direction, but that guy's not even in any of the other stuff. What the hell?
I mean, he was in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah. But, like, seeing John Turturro pop up frequently is awesome. Tony Shalhoub, he's always amazing. That's another point on The Man Who Wasn't There. That's a great performance, too, as the lawyer.
Yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you?
I do like that. Remember all the time when he was, like, in the restaurant or whatever? That's that one, right? They all blend together for me. Remember in The Man Who Wasn't There, spoilers, at the end when they walk into the execution room and it's just all white except for the chair?
Yeah.
How great is that, eh?
That's really cool looking.
Fuck you.
I mean, what do
You can be a little bit more. You can give me a little bit more.
I liked it.
Now you just sound disingenuous.
I was like, I want you to act naturally. Act naturally. Well, that didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to.
God. Act naturally, but also be my hype man.
Oh, that's not gonna happen.
That's all you're here for. Is just
You
hype
need
me
to
up.
pay me more.
I'm not paying you anything.
I know.
Oh.
More than zero is something.
I'll pay you 5 times what you're already getting.
Wait a minute.
So you talked a little bit about the movies you didn't like, but what do you think is your favorite just aspect of their stuff? Then, what is the good stuff for the Coens, or what would you like to see them do?
Well, those are like completely different questions.
Well, combine them together. Why? What makes your favorite movies by them so special? And that's it.
I mean, it's the noirish element of things not turning out the way that the characters want them to.
Mm-hmm.
That gives it, like, there are surrealist tinges to their films, but it has this undercurrent of dark reality.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the things that I like. I think if it goes a little too crazy, then it like uplifts the being grounded part, and I don't like it as much because then it gets too far away.
Sure.
But it's like they play with genres and they play with character types and situations that maybe that character type wouldn't normally be in.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's like I like it when they do that, when there's something unexpected that happens. Sure. Because either it plays against the genre or it plays against the situation. When everything falls in line to what the situation is, or the characters are uninteresting, or they're not doing something with the characters that involves the audience, which I think is the problem with like Hail Caesar.
Yeah.
Then it's uninteresting and it almost doesn't matter what happens because I really don't care what happens.
Hail Caesar has a similar problem to Ballad of Buster Scruggs, where it's like too many stories and some of them just aren't interesting.
Right. So I think their strongest stories is when they have one or two characters that we're seeing everything through the eyes of.
No Country for Old Men, Blood Simple,
It's
Inside
like even
Llewyn
the Big
Davis,
Lebowski. You're
Big Lebowski.
basically,
You are
you
him the
know,
whole time.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um, and it's like a loser that is trying to fix his situation or get out of the situation is way more interesting
That
than a
is making it
loser.
worse.
Yes. And I feel like the movies that I don't like as much is it's like here's a loser that's just getting shit on the whole time, or here's a loser that is doing nothing to get out of what he's in. And I'm like, why? Who wants to see that?
Well, that's Llewyn Davis.
But I think Llewyn Davis is more like he wants to be pure and true to himself and won't allow other people to change him.
And he's an asshole about it.
Right, which is still interesting enough because it's like that character is driven by something.
Right.
Even if it's something we don't necessarily agree with, or even if it's like, you're destroying your career by making these decisions, because he's consistently making those decisions and he's trying to do something even though he's not getting it done correctly and it's still nihilistic, I think it still works for that because it makes sense why that character is that way.
Right.
But it's like a character that actually has all the talent in the world and is making the decisions, but then just because of a twist of fate, doesn't get what it is that he wants or works hard for. Is not necessarily as interesting. It's more like it's a downer feeling because you want the person to succeed.
Sure. But sometimes the universe just fucks you over.
Right. And that's fine too. And that's interesting too. If it works that way. But it's sort of like
You should watch Serious Man.
I'll probably put it on my list of things to watch.
Michael Stahlberg, Richard Kind. I think that's about it.
So it's not on Prime.
I don't know how I watched it. I think I probably rented it.
That's a Universal movie.
Yeah, I guess so.
So that it should stay relatively cheap. I was like, if it's something where I needed to buy it now, I could.
Right.
Yeah, it's only $10 on Blu-ray. So
I think that one's worth checking out. I mean, you probably won't like it because you hate everything that I like, but it was darkly comedic and yet still very serious, which I think is what, I don't know, is what it hits. Where they hit their stride.
I mean, I have such a huge amount of things to watch, as you
can just
already
add it to
know,
the pie.
and I have more things coming.
Yep.
But I added it to my to watch list eventually to get around to.
Well, it's probably the best I can ask for.
What about you? Same question.
I don't remember what this question was. Oh, that like 15 questions that I threw at you?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think I already kind of said it. I think they're at their best, or I like them at like the most when they balance their, or when they, I guess when they do their far departures from balancing their tones. I don't know. I can't talk. I don't like English. I don't know how to speak. But my top three, right, are the ones that are such far departures from that like comedic side. With Llewyn Davis is kind of funny but is like depressing, like we had talked about on our cast, or No Country for Old Men and The Man Who Wasn't There kind of being different than what I associate with the Coens. So I think I like it when they do something that is like vastly surprising to me. But I don't know, I like most of their stuff, I guess, because I did like pretty much all of their stuff, because I also like Big Lebowski and Fargo and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know how to answer my own question is what I'm trying to get to.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think about these things until I'm thrust into the moment. I would be one of the stupid characters in one of their movies.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
the thing is I would be like the burn after reading kind of guys, where I would be like a moron.
I think the only movie of theirs that I actively disliked is The Lady Killers.
Yeah, which I didn't watch because I think you told me that, so I didn't watch it.
I mean, and it could be one of those things where you revisit it and you're like, I don't know why I thought so badly about it, but
Sure, but I mean, I haven't heard great things about it in general. But
and I feel like Intolerable Cruelty is too much like Hail Caesar, where it's like everyone is an unlikable character and you just don't really care what happens to them.
sure, I mean, I guess I like them most with their hints of surrealism too. I guess if you can call Davis surrealism with the whole circle element to it, being trapped in like that endless loop,
Right.
or No
I
Country
like
kind
their
of having
darkest
the
movies, I guess.
yeah, No Country and Man Who Wasn't There. I mean, Man Who Wasn't There and No Country are literally dark for most of the movie, so that
Literally and figuratively.
I know. I mean, like most of No Country takes place at night. I actually, my least favorite period of their movies is the pre-Deakins era. I think that he elevates their directing style to like new heights, basically. I think that Deakins is the perfect match for them and kind of matches their sensibilities and is able to visually tell the stories of their script the same way, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like it matches the way that their scripts are written and how the Coens want to direct. When you have that DP that kind of is such a support beam for that, the stories get visually told as best they can to match the tones of the script and all that. But yeah, I'm out of shit to say. I didn't think about that question when I asked you, which is great because then I just got put on the spot and got roasted.
Bam.
Nobody will listen to it. I'll cut it up. So, what do you think? What do you think's gonna come next, or what do you think they should do next? Because they have two movies.
We know what's coming next.
We have two movies in the pipeline. One is just Joel doing Macbeth, while I think Ethan Coen is off on Broadway or doing like stage stuff.
On Broadway.
Yep. Ding, 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 ding. Anyway. And then they are also working on a movie called The Zebra Striped Hearse, which, and I'm going to bring up the description for it again, did seem like a noir-ish comedy blend. It says, Private Eye Lou Archer is hired by a young co-ed to find out why her wicked stepmother is draining her trust when a lunkhead surfer leads him to a dead body. So that's all they have so far. It's listed as comedy crime, but who knows? So that may be interesting. Maybe it'll be what you want it to be, Garrett.
I don't know. Lunkhead doesn't sound like it would be something I would be much into.
Well, it's going to be the Lou Archer guy first, right? So let's say Oscar Isaac is playing the Private Eye detective. And then you just take 2008 Brad Pitt from Burn After Reading and put him in the movie. And he like clashes with everybody else because everybody's super serious, and then you have that guy who's just a moron.
So it's the nice guys.
Yeah, essentially.
Eh.
Man, Coen Brothers doing Nice Guys would be cool. Any more Nice Guys would be cool. And I know you hate my movie choices, so you'll disagree.
Well, I mean, the problem is I've seen like so many of the air quotes classic buddy cop movies that like it would have to be something really unique or like super well done.
Yeah, well, whatever. What would you like to see them do then? Another Western?
It seems like I like their period pieces more.
Yeah, like No Country for Old Men.
No Country for Old Men is a period piece, you know.
When is it set?
It's set in like the early 90s.
Oh, is it? I thought it was set in 2006, 2005. Well,
Let me
fuck
see.
me. You are right. In the 80s.
80s.
1980 West Texas, in the town of El Paso.
Yeah. So at least I knew it wasn't like modern day.
I think it's one of those movies that does its period piece aspect perfectly because I don't notice it.
Gotcha.
It's almost timeless, you know? Just
Like,
the only thing is the fact they don't have cell phones, I guess.
I would love to see like a neon soaked noir with them.
Yeah.
Not saying like they should redo it, but like a Miami Vice type
Yeah.
where it's that sort of aesthetic, I think would be interesting, especially if it was shot by Deakins.
I agree with you. They should do Blood Complicated, a spiritual successor.
The Blood Simple. I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be interesting too for them to do like a futuristic, like to do a cyberpunk type movie.
Yeah.
Because the noirish trappings work really well in that type of environment.
Yeah.
I mean, my honest answer would be I want them to do whatever it is that they want to do, and then I will watch it, and then
Pretty
if I
much.
like it, great. And if I don't, that's fine because it's something that they wanted to do. That's really what I want. It's like if I was forced to pick something, I could just come up with stuff, but I would really just much rather them do whatever it is that creatively hits them that they want to do.
They should do a bigger Lebowski.
I don't want them to do sequels to their own movies, and I really would like for them not to do a remake of a previously done movie.
Yeah. I agree with you. Well, catch you later. They should do Dumb and Dumber. It's called Burn After Reading. Da-da-da-da-da. Because they're all morons.
And I don't want them to do just like a generic tropey movie just because it's like, oh, here's a genre. Like we've touched on musicals before, but never actually done a full musical. So let's do a full musical because we haven't done one. I kind of hope they don't do something like that. You know, just because they haven't. It's like it's fine for them to do something they've already done before if it's something like they want to say something else or they thought there's more in that genre that they could do that they haven't done previous. Or, here's an idea we had in Miller's Crossing, but we didn't have the budget, we didn't have the ability, we weren't as mature storytellers as we are now, and so we want to go back to that type of movie, but we want to make it.
That's Fargo season 2, but touches on
it goes back to the 30s.
What?
It goes back to Prohibition?
No, but it touches on similar ideas as Miller's Crossing does.
Okay, but that's not them doing it.
No, but it's pretty fucking close. They are. Yeah, I think they have some creative input, but I don't want to say anymore because you're going to hate my show anyway. When you eventually watch it, you're going to criticize me for it.
The big problem usually, it's not like you don't know quality or you don't understand what makes a good story.
Wow.
Usually, I said it doesn't mean that. Usually the problem is I've seen so many more of those types of movies that have previously existed than you have.
That it
I'm not as impressed.
You.
I'm not as impressed by the same storytelling devices that have happened because I've seen them so many more times. And it's like I might have specific critiques of that's too similar to this story, or it's not as interesting, or doesn't do anything new from these that are like genre standards. And that's really the only difference. It's not like you can't pick those things out or you don't know what makes a good story. It's just like our history of seeing different things. I'm twice your age. I've seen multiple times the amount of movies that you have. That's really the difference.
You're just numb to it, that's all.
In some cases, that is entirely true. It's almost like when a YouTube channel has, here's random comedy. I'm going to put stuff in here that you've never thought of before because it doesn't connect together. I'm just so random. But I've seen so much random comedy that it has to be ratcheted up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's almost like if a filmmaker says, I want to offend you as a viewer, I'm going to put stuff in there that's going to make you sick. But if I've like surfed 4chan for years and have seen Solo and have seen all the different like most sickening movies, then you really have to step up your game in order to actually be able to offend me. And I think that's the difference. You can't say I'm going to tell offensive racist jokes and then like not bring it, sort of a thing. Not to say that like those are necessarily like good things or that's what I want to see in movies, but I'm just saying if you have the expressed written thing that this is going to be the goriest movie you've ever seen, well then you're really going to have to bring stuff because I've seen some really gory movies.
Well, sounds like you're just a cynical old fuck.
That's the reason why people like us become cynical old fucks.
I'm never going to become a cynical old fuck.
Well, I mean, and I think this has been brought up before in other cases. Like game designers will do specific things, but then like marketing and game publishers want other things.
Yeah.
So rather than it being like this will actually make the game better, it's we think this will sell another 1,000,000 units if we say and appear to do this. And so it's like how much of the movie industry has to do with marketing and selling. A lot of it, a high percentage does. That doesn't mean that everything's going to be that way. And constantly, you and I know movies will come out that buck those trends, that are different. They're like really high quality movies that like seem to be completely slanted toward artistic endeavors and having the director's vision or the writer's vision or whatever. And that's what they put on screen. And it's like, we eat those movies up.
Name that's 5.
Name 5 right off the top of my head?
Yeah.
It's all stuff you already know.
You don't have to.
You already know that I know what they are. The Handmaiden, Mandy. I mean, come on. Does it start climax?
I've heard any of these.
A lot of A24.
I don't know what that is.
Midsummer.
What is that? Midsummer? You sure it's not Midsummer? Mm-hmm. With a U?
Like, I don't know if you think that saying the joke will lessen the point, or if it's like you don't know anything to add to that, and that's the reason why you say it. But you want to be included in the
Here's the thing, is it's, remember the Coens, sometimes they balance their darkness and their seriousness with comedy.
So you're the comedy and I'm the dark serious?
I'm just being on brand to the podcast topic.
That's fair. I can handle that.
And also, yeah, I didn't know what to add because I think you hit the nail on the head. So it's more of me. You hit the nail pretty much all the way in, and then I was like just giving it like a little tap to make sure it was nice and flush,
tap,
you know?
Tap.
The transition piece to the next topic, if you will.
The finishing. I got it.
Speaking of finishing, I don't know what else to talk about for this one.
I think Denmark is correct.
Denmark?
That's not Finland, but I can't think off the top of my head what a place in Finland is.
Finland. Isn't that a Monty Python song?
Probably. I'm going to slap you with a mackerel, though.
All in all, I like the Coens. They're pretty good. Yep. They're fine, I guess. They made a couple of movies that are just okay, and a couple of the other ones that are fine, I guess. Overall, nothing really memorable. Certainly would never watch any of their other stuff. If I had it my way, they'd be out of the industry. And they won Best Director and Best Picture, which means they automatically invalidate themselves from being on Garrett's greatest filmmakers of all time list. So,
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call them the greatest filmmakers of all time.
That's the thing, is they won Best Director and Best Picture for a movie you love to shit. So, what is that? Just the one time the Academy got it right in their entire history?
I don't know that it was the Best Picture that year.
No? What was the Best Picture that year? 2007.
I mean, the thing is, I like No Country for Old Men, but I also like There Will Be Blood.
I've never heard of that movie. I certainly didn't just watch it.
And so I don't know, does my favorite over one of the other mean that it's actually the best picture?
Maybe Lynch should have dropped a film in that year, and that
And
would
just
have
like
settled
blew
your
my head
debate.
apart? Jesus. That's when he releases The Return.
Oh God. Anything you want to say in closing?
Not necessarily.
What? Oh, what happened? R.I.P. Fred Willard. We did a
Yeah.
Mighty Wind cast a while ago. I think we should just
And you still haven't
throw
seen
that
Best
out
in
right now.
Show,
I have not.
jerk.
Should I watch that and then we could do the Fred Willard R.I.P. cast?
That would be too sad.
That's true.
While he was alive, he wanted us to laugh. So it seems silly to not laugh.
Now that he's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know if he meant to laugh at the fact that he's dead, but
I think he would. He would make a joke over it.
all the best comedians would.
Yeah.
Life's a laugh and death's a joke.
I mean, if you spend your career, if your life's work is to make people happy, then I think, like, after you're finished, you've completed your making people happy. Then, like, when you die, everyone is sad and you don't make people happy anymore. Like, that would be completely against everything you worked for. Like, I think you would much
That's
rather
true.
be remembered as being someone that made you laugh, and if you actually have a good time and smile. I think that's why on Twitter, when he did die and people said things, they gave stories about things they thought were funny or something about him that they loved. And it's like, to
Yeah.
me, that makes way more sense to do that and remember someone fondly rather than remember like the last little piece of their life. Remember them when they were in their prime. Remember them
Sure.
for what they wanted you to remember them for.
I agree with you. And that's that.
So he broke my little red wagon.
Well, if you like the show, Garrett, do you like the show?
Fuck you.
That's when you should have went, well, I don't think so. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell and all like it and leave a comment, all that junk. Follow us on Twitter below, also Letterboxd, also below. The show is also, Twitter is also below. Nobody follows that. Also, be sure to go to Garrett's house and